Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 30th of July, 2022. Uh, we'll be picking up where we left off from last Sabbath class. We'll be reading from the book of Leviticus and dealing with the laws that was given to our forefathers and Moses at Mount Sinai. I'm asking everybody to like and share and subscribe to the channel Prophets of Awakening and hit the notification button. And so it's very important that you subscribe. It's going to help the channel a lot. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening. Welcome to our Sabbath class. We're going to do our moment of silence, a prayer, Psalms, do some current event, and then we do a little need to know information, and we'll go into our Q&A, and then we go into our Bible discussion, which is the book of Leviticus. Okay? This moment of silence is for our Creator and His Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts, Isaiah 44 and verse 6, and all that they're doing to bring about our return to our homeland and our deliverance. O Lord, we come before Thee at this hour on your day that you have given unto us for rest, your Sabbath, praising you and honoring you because of your position both in heaven and upon the earth, the position in which the Creator Yahweh have given unto Thee. Through your spirit and counsel, O Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who you are as our Savior and our Redeemer. We are thankful for all that you have done, and we are eagerly searching your scriptures out that we may be in the right place at the right time upon your arrival to this planet. Lord, I pray to Thee that you continue to let your light shine down upon us in spirit and in truth. And we love you, we seek you daily, O Lord, and there is none else besides Thee to redeem us. We see you in the affairs of the world, and we faithfully await Thy deliverance. Peace be unto Thee. Okay.
Hallelujah. Yes, Lord.
So we're going to get a Psalms right here and read it. Okay. Okay. This is Psalm 69. It's a Psalm of David. It's a cry of distress. Save me, O God, for the waters are come in into my soul. I sink in deep mire, where there is no standing. I am come into deep waters, where the floods overflow me. I am weary of my crying. My throat is dry. Mine eyes fail while I wait for my God. They that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of my head. They that would destroy me, being mine enemies wrongfully are mighty. Then I restored that which I took not away. O God, thou knowest my foolishness, and my sins are not hid from thee. Let not them that wait on thee, O Lord, God of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. Let not those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O God of Israel, because for thy sake I have borne reproach. Shame have covered my face. I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien unto my mother's children. For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up, and the reproach of them that reproach thee are fallen upon me. When I wept and chastened my soul with fasting that was to be my reproach, I made sackcloth also my garment, and I became a proverb to them. They that sit in the gate speak against me. I was I was the song of the trumpets. But as for me, my prayer is unto thee, O Lord, in an acceptable time, O God, in the multitude of thy mercy, hear me in the truth of thy salvation. Deliver me out of the mire. Let me not sink. Let me be delivered from them that hate me, and out of the deep waters. Let not the water flood overflow me, neither let the deep shallow swallow me up, and let not the pit shut her mouth upon me. Hear me, O Lord, for thy loving kindness is good. Turn unto me according to the multitude of thy tender mercies, and hide not thy face from thy servant, for I am in trouble. Hear me speedily. Draw nigh unto my soul, and redeem it. Deliver me because of my enemies. Thou hast known my reproach, and my shame, and my dishonor. Mine adversaries are all before thee. Reproach have broken my heart, and I am full of heaviness. And I looked for some to take pity, but there was none, and for comforters, but I found none. They gave me also gall for meat, and in my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink. Let their table become a snare for them, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it be come a trap. Let their eyes be darkened that they see not, and make their loins continuously to shake. Pour out thine indignation upon them, and let thy wrathful anger take hold of them. Let their habitation be desolate, and let none well dwell in their tents, for they persecute him whom thou hast smitten, and they talk to the greed of those whom thou hast wounded. Add iniquity unto their iniquity, and let them not come in righteousness. Let them be blotted out of the book of living, and not be written with righteousness. Let them not be written with thee with the righteous. But I am poor and sorrowful. Let thy salvation, O God, set up high. I will praise the name of God with song, and I will magnify him with thanksgiving. This is also shall please the Lord better than an ox or a bullock that have horns or hoofs. The humble shall see this and be glad, and your heart shall live that seek God. For the Lord heareth the poor, and despiseth not his prisoners. Let the heavens and the earth praise him, the seas and everything that moveth therein. For God will save Zion, and will build the cities of Judah, that they may dwell there and have it in possession. The seed also of his servants shall inherit it, and, and they that love his name still shall dwell therein. Okay, that was Psalm 69. It's a cry for distress. Any comments on that? Anybody got anything on that? Okay, so a couple of things I want to shine light on. So first, one of them is in it's this big debate going on about Isaiah 53, right? And it says in verse 26, let me pick it up in 24, I'm going to 26. Pour out thy indignation upon them. Let thy wrathful anger, David, take hold of them. Let their habitation be desolate, and let none dwell in their tents, right? So this David praying to the Lord of hosts to deal with his enemies. 26, for they persecute him whom thou hast smitten. See that? For they persecute him whom they have smitten, and they talk to the grief of those whom thou hast wounded. So, see that? Smitten and wounded. We're going to go to Isaiah 53. Okay? Simple. Ain't no hard, nothing hard about it. So, I'm in Isaiah 53, and it says, trying to figure out who the suffering servant is. He says 9, 53 and 3. He is despised and rejected of me, and a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and we hid as it were our faces from him. Right? So we see that this him is Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Israel is the servant. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and wounded. But he was, and afflicted, being verse 5, but he was wounded for our transgression. He was bruised for our iniquity, and the chastisement of peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. So Israel, when you go back and understand that the Levites and the children of Jerusalem, the Levites was sin. They was put in a place to stand for the Israelites for sin. And so when they didn't do what they did, they turned away from the Most High. He brought his indignation down on them. And that's what David is confirming that right here in 69. Let me get it. Yeah, it says in verse 26, for they persecute him whom thou hast smitten, and they talk to the grief of those whom he have wounded. They is those more than one. So we're talking about Israel, and we see that all through the scriptures how the him, which is they use a singular in Isaiah 53, but the him is the nation of Israel. And he used that, he's saying singular because of, like I said before, he's dealing with Jacob, who he wrestled with, changed his name to Israel, and then he had 12 sons. So that's why the him is being used. And we got these Hebrew Christians that don't understand that. They think it's some singular name. So anyway, let me go to Leviticus right quick, or Numbers right quick. Show you that. It says Numbers right quick. So it says in Numbers chapter 18 verse 1. The Lord said unto Aaron, thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. So they didn't bear the iniquity of Israel. When Israel goes straight, they the ones receive the punishment. They the ones get smitten. They the ones get stricken, they wounded. Okay, so yeah. So anyway, I'll go back. I got something else on that. So when I was first started reading, it said, Psalm 69 says, David talking, verse 4, they that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of my head, and they that would destroy me, being mine enemies wrongfully, are mighty. Then I restored that which I took not away. O God, thou knowest my foolishness and my sin are not hid from thee. Let not them that wait on thee, O Lord of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. Let not those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O God. So David understands his role. He understands that the Most High chose him. He was anointed by Samuel. This is the Most High's anointed. So he says right here, you don't hear nobody else talking like this. Verse 5 says, O God, thou knowest my foolishness and my sin are not hid from thee. Let them that wait on thee, O Lord God of hosts, be ashamed for my sake. See that? He's taking it upon him because he knows who he is. Keep going. Let those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, for his sake, right? O God of Israel, now watch this, 7, because thy sake, now you put it on the Lord of hosts. He said, because for thy sake I have, see that? I have borne the reproach and shame. So he said, because of I accepted my role and I accepted the role you gave me. In turn, verse 7 says, because for thy sake I have. He said, because what I done, In the role you gave me, I'm asking you to when they come seeking you on my card, check them out. And so then you understand then from that point on uh, what David's role is. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna move on. Okay. Let me get this right quick. Shalom, Mike. Shalom. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to some current events. I think these are pretty.
America's major West Coast cities are becoming rotting hellholes that are being completely overwhelmed by rats, addicts, crime, piles of garbage, and hordes of homeless people. The rapid decay of some of the wealthiest cities in the nation is fueling the growth of criminality rates, as well as a dramatic increase in the number of tent cities and worsening public sanitation problems. These issues are likely to spell a lot of trouble all across the U.S. as we head into another downturn. We're being warned that our societal challenges are set to unleash widespread chaos in the months ahead, as economic conditions deteriorate even further and millions more Americans are forced to live on the streets. That's why in today's video, we're going to expose the horrifying conditions some big West Coast cities are in right now, because soon these problems will impact the entire country and spark a wave of social unrest that's unlike anything we've ever witnessed. But before moving on, please support us by leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel so you can keep up to date with the most important news. All across the U.S. West Coast, the number of people living on the streets is rising. So is the number of people living in their cars, and the number of elderly residents becoming unhoused. As a result, tent cities are growing at beaches, parks, highway underpasses, lots, and sidewalks. Official data shows that since 2012, the number of homeless people in cities such as Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco, and Portland has grown by approximately 75%. And with each passing year, the situation only gets worse. We have failed in so many respects, said Theo Henderson, a Los Angeles advocate for the unhoused. There are families with children living in automobiles. There are elderly and the infirm on the streets. It's a dark time right now, and unhoused residents are very afraid. Millions of people that relocated to sunny LA hoping to live the California dream over the past decade are now confronting a dire reality of a city being swallowed by giant rat-infested piles of garbage. Local reports reveal that in several areas of downtown LA, garbage is being left uncollected, which is raising public health concerns after a recent typhus outbreak. According to the LA Times, the city's most notorious trash pile, located between downtown LA's busy fashion and produce districts, continues to be a magnet for rats after it was cleaned up months ago. The rodents can carry typhus-infected fleas, which can spread the disease to humans through bacteria rubbed into the eyes or cuts and scrapes. scrapes on the skin, resulting in severe flu-like symptoms. The article, titled "The Collapse of a City That's Lost Control," highlights that large swathes of Los Angeles have become wastelands, with rats scurrying among piles of decaying garbage and squalid tent cities. The city of Los Angeles has become a giant trash receptacle, wrote columnist Steve Lopez. The city's sanitation issues have become so severe that NBC is even calling it the Ratpocalypse. Bobby Corrigan, one of the nation's leading experts on the matter, estimates that LA's rat population may have exceeded the human population at this point. Today, nearly 18.8 million people live in the Los Angeles metropolitan area, and in contrast, the estimated rat population in the area is a shocking 482 million. Corrigan explains that when garbage and filth are everywhere, rats can breed exceedingly quickly. Even though local authorities spent a whopping $619 million to clear up the streets last year, the relentless rise in the number of unhoused people has continued to aggravate the situation. Offense rates are also soaring in the region. Everyone living, working in, or visiting downtown has noted the rapidly deteriorating conditions. Downtown resident Catherine Tomichek emphasized the number of serious delinquencies rose by almost 8% since January, official data shows. Needless to say, LA is far from alone. Further up the California coastline, the homelessness crisis is getting out of control so much that the wealthy San Francisco metropolitan area is facing the worst drug epidemic in the history of the United States. Data released by Kaiser Permanente shows that over the past 10 years, emergency room visits related to illegal substance abuse in San Francisco have jumped 600%. Admissions to the hospital are up 400%. And at San Francisco General Hospital, of 7,000 annual psychiatric emergency visits last year, 47% were people who were not necessarily mentally ill. They were under the influence of illegal substances. Residents say that large portions of the city have been transformed into stomach-churning cesspools of squalor. Since the start of the year, there were nearly 14,000 official complaints about human feces in the streets of San Francisco. The rental site RentHop examined public data from the city's website and found a 311% increase in the number of complaints about human and animal waste over the past 5 years. According to its analysis, San Francisco saw over 25,000 poop complaints from January to November 2021, the most the city's seen within the same time period as the year before. It's a serious public health concern. It's a public relations concern when you have a city that's driven by tourism and conventions and visitors from all over the world. It's frankly embarrassing, explains a San Francisco resident. Similarly, the notoriously liberal city of Berkeley, California, had to remove over 75 tons of garbage, human waste, and drug paraphernalia from homeless camps in just 9 months. The massive pile of garbage was collected between September 2021 and March 2022 by Berkeley's Homeless Response Team, according to the city's 2023 and 2024 prospective budget. In the budget, the group's actions aim to resolve conditions that included raw sewage and human waste, loose and scattered syringes and drug paraphernalia, rodents and other vector hazards, rotting food, obstruction of sidewalks, and vehicular lanes of traffic, the team noted. According to the Public Policy Institute of California, in some areas of the state, 74% of residents say homelessness is a big problem. A separate survey found that 70% of those who left the state over the past couple of years cited feeling less safe due to homeless and mentally ill people on the streets. The same survey found that 88% of California residents felt that homelessness had gotten worse since the onset of the health crisis. Poverty has steadily grown in recent years, and now homeless encampments and tent cities are popping up all over the nation. The Department of Housing and Urban Development reported that approximately 1.5 million people are currently homeless in America, and that figure is increasing by the day. And it isn't just adults that we're talking about. The number of homeless children in this country has surged by 60% since the last recession. And Poverty USA says that a total of 1.6 million children slept either in a homeless shelter or in some other form of emergency housing at some point last year. As economic conditions started to deteriorate, Portland, Oregon has seen a massive increase in the number of tent cities in the past 12 months. It was almost overnight, says Michelle Cardinal. Every morning, she said, she cleaned human feces off her doorstep and picked up used needles. It started last June. By July, it was full blown. The park was mobbed, she said. We've got a problem here, and the question is how we're going to deal with it. On the other hand, Dawn Tofty, a 57-year-old that was living at an encampment, says that local officials often displace the homeless without helping them to get out of the streets. Last year, she was promised a housing voucher that could subsidize a rental if she left the area. 1 year later, Tofty is still camping down on the city streets. I'm getting old. I don't want to die on the streets, she said, adding that she didn't think officials ever cared about providing housing for the thousands of people they displaced over the past year. They just want to keep us out of eyesight, she said. This is the problem. Authorities.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody seen any signs of that?
No, but you hear about it a lot, about the West Coast, the homelessness is getting worse there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you have to see, the government see the same things that we see, and they pass by that every day, you know.
Right.
But they seem not to care. But these are the type of things that we're going to continue to see, and that we're going to continue to see that's growing. Because we are not including God in anything. A lot of people are not. So we're going to continue to see things like this.
Right. This is a major sign for Israelites. If you're thinking like a Hebrew, you can see, this the rapid downfall of our oppressors. Shalom, bro. Shalom, Nisi. What's up, Bruce? Okay, yeah. So I want to give everybody that's listening in and the people that listen to this, I'm giving them a friendly reminder that, they in a lion's den. Can't ever forget that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so with that, I'm just gonna go to some need to know information. I thought this was very interesting. So
I want to begin with a quote from Winston Churchill. The farther you look behind, the farther you can see ahead. In order to see ahead the next 5 years to 10 years, 50 years, you have to look behind that much. Why? Because it is a single road. It goes here. It doesn't start suddenly. It draws on everything that went before it and becomes something new. So to begin this discussion, I want to begin with technology, because there is a belief here that technology is the key to geopolitical power. Well, perhaps it is. But let's first discuss technology. So, for example, this is an iPhone. You must have many of them. It's obviously a useful tool, and you have no idea of its history. I will now tell you its history. The cell phone was developed by the United States Army in the 1970s. It was first deployed by the US Army. So your cell phone is a military tool. The microchip was commissioned.
Yeah, I want to inject something in right quick. Look at the podium, right? Look at what's on the podium. I keep telling you about Esau, these Edomites. When you look for what an Edomite look like, this is what Edomite look like right here. Like I said, these world bankers, movers and shakers. So look on the podium. They're the ones doing all the research. Like I said, they got a plan. They want to rule the world for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. They're the ones behind all this collapsing and everything.
By the US Air Force to fly the F-14 and also cruise missiles. GPS, you've used that to find your way around. So did the US Navy, which commissioned the building of the GPS squadron so its submarines could know where they are. There's, of course, the camera. We all love the camera. I don't, but my wife does. It was developed for space satellite so that the film did not have to be dropped to Earth. It took pictures that could be transmitted as data to Earth. And of course, there's the internet, without which this wouldn't have any place, which is developed by DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, to move information from one point to another quickly, so we didn't have to mail it. In other words, to understand the technology of this age, you must understand the geopolitical requirements of the United States, the military that it created, and the technology that it really created as well. So you cannot look at the cell phone, the iPhone, the very cute little thing, the camera and everything else, without understanding its military origins. Now, what does this have to do with history? Well, the question is, how does Dubai or any country develop a military capability in the age of all these new technologies that are inviting? The answer is, look to your defense department, look to your defense ministries. Why? Because the United States did something to create this technology. Not because it wanted to have a cell phone for you to use, but because it was trying to solve military problems. And those military problems had application to Apple. And Steve Jobs stole all these ideas. But in America, it's not stealing, because the US government is not permitted to hold on to technology. It cannot patent technology unless it's classified, and this wasn't. So he simply went and got together all this technology that was already there and used it. So the first element of new technology, artificial intelligence, or whatever you want to have. The first foundation of it has to be a need by some organization with enough money to invent the solution. And then the state must be generous at letting the private sector have it. If the United States refused to give it out, which, by the way, the Soviets also developed but wouldn't give out, we wouldn't have the technology now today. So there's an intimate connection, not between what technology is going to do for geopolitics, but what geopolitics does for technology. And if you look at the iPhone and think about it, and you think about the minds you have here in Dubai, and the resources and the money that you have here in Dubai, you understand the first thing that you must do is define your geopolitical needs, define the solutions that your technology allows you to have, and then make sure the private sector uses it very aggressively to create new industries. Every country can do it. The United States did. The Russians did, but they forgot to give it to private industry. And Dubai is a little country, but I will begin my analysis of geopolitics with something important. In the 1940s and 50s, great powers had to be huge. They had to be huge because the technology of bombers, of bombs, of warfare had enormous requirements in people. We're now at a point where the number of people that are engaged in geopolitical action, warfare, is much less. Stopping that capability also does not require an America-sized population or a China-sized population. It requires a skilled population, a population that is free to invent things, to experiment, to try things. And that is what I would like to urge on. It's not my place to urge anything, but what I think is necessary for Dubai is to understand that you do not have to be a massive power in population. You must command space. We talk about artificial intelligence, and I'm not sure what that is. I assume that's very good. But from a geopolitical point of view, we think well enough. We don't need help. What we need is space-based systems. And the important thing about space-based systems, and I once met your Minister of Space, a very pleasant meeting, and you went to Mars, perhaps not on your own technology, but you went. A small nation can become a force in space because it doesn't require 100,000 men in uniform, but maybe 200 to take the technologies that already exist and create something from it. So,
Okay, so you notice how on 2-3 different occasions you keep mentioning the fact that you don't need no big old country and a whole mass of people to do this. You need as long as they a small country, but they dealing with technologies. That's what Israel is. It's exactly what they is. And I'm showing you that behind the scenes, they're the ones. The scripture's telling you that. They're the ones behind all all the stuff you see happening and manifesting. They behind it. They looking to emerge out of nowhere as the number one power. They already are, but they're behind the scenes. And so they bringing down all these countries. They the ones, all the technology you see is coming out of Israel. So-called Israel. Yeah. You got to do is go back and do the research. All these countries with all this technology that's dealing with banking and quantum computing and all that, it's coming out of Israel. Yeah. So, anybody got any comments on that? They want something they want to say about it? or add to it? Okay. So I'm gonna open it up now for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything that they came across, anything that was said on Clubhouse, uh, uh, doing Bible study? If they want some clarity or shine light on? Okay. There's something else that I've been talking about right here that I want to shine light on. It's about Ghana and how, like I said, these people behind the scenes dictating everything. So it's been prophesied. Let me read it right quick. Read the prophecy. It says, first two different prophecies. The first one is in Jeremiah. I'm going to read it, and then I'll read the other one. So first one is in Jeremiah 29, right? It says, 29 and verse 14. It says, well, I'll start at 12. It says, then shall ye come, talking to the Israelites, Israel, then shall ye come upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me, find me, when you search for me with all your heart. Then once that happens, that's where we at. Verse 14, and I will be found of you, says the Lord, Lord of hosts, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you. See that? I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, said the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place which I caused you to be carried away captive. So we was caused to be, in this last captivity, we was caused to be carried away from the west coast of Africa, where we fled from. We fled from Israel back in 143 BC, and we eventually ended up on the west coast. And like I said, these people right here, Jacob's brother Esau, know that. He knew exactly where we was at. He was the one behind the Nina and the Pinna of Santa Maria, looking for a new land with so-called New Jerusalem. And he came to America. He affiliated with the 13 tribes, the 13 colonies. So when George Washington got in trouble with his army and couldn't pay them, he went to those Edomites that was already here. And they gave him the money, and in turn, they allowed them to put all their symbols and all it over on the money. That's why you got all these Jewish connotations to our money, especially the dollar bill. And so when they came and they started, they needed laborers for cotton and all that. They knew right where to go. Say there was a truckload of people on the west coast of Africa that God had thrown them away. And so we can just go get them. So they went in with the slave trade, fulfilling Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. They're going to get us with ships. We're going to be carried away in our last captivity in ships. So fulfilling that, okay? And so with that being said, and I'll get the other prophecy come back to my head, I'll bring it up. But anyway, so that happened. So we see this prophecy right here. Yeah, here go the other one. Isaiah 60. So let me get it. So the Lord of hosts spoke these things. So we see everything else he spoke came to pass. And we're looking at this. He's going to return us back to the place in which we was carried away from. And then here go the other one. They working simultaneously. This is Isaiah chapter 60. Just the future glory of Zion, right? Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. That's where we at. We just saw what the guy was telling you about the rats and the debauchery that's all over all these countries. Which so it says, but the Lord shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about, and see all they gather themselves, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed from thy side. So you see how these two prophecies is intertwined with each other. Jeremiah 29:14 says he's going to gather us and take us back from the place which we was carried away from. And right here, 60:4, lift up thine eyes round about and see all they that gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Intertwined. 5, then thou shalt see. That's when this happens. That's where we at. When thou shalt see, then thou shalt see and flow together, and thy heart shall fear and be enlarged, because of the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee, right? The multitude of Campbells shall cover thee, the Dremel, Midian, and Ephod, and all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth praises of the Lord. So when you understand these two prophecies, it's more of them, but I shine light on these two. So who is the most likely candidate that's going to try to usurp that? It's Esau. He got a hidden agenda, the so-called Illuminati bankers. So he got another agenda. I told you he wanted to rule the world from Jerusalem. But his time is ran out. So anyway, so he's the one that's trying to subvert these prophecies. We see them already starting to manifest themselves. So let's look at that. Okay. So I'll play a series of videos and they'll speak for themselves. So I'm gonna go to the first one.
A lot of African Americans in the diaspora are moving to Ghana in their numbers. Ghana is a country in the sub-Saharan Africa that is officially known as the Republic of Ghana. The country shares a border on the west by the Ivory Coast, on the north by Burkina Faso, on the east by Togo, and on the south by the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean. Ghana is known as the Gateway to Africa, covers an area of 238,535 square kilometers, and is home to a diverse range of biomass, from coastal savannas to tropical rainforests. The country has a population of about 31 million, and it is the second most populous country in West Africa, after Nigeria. The capital is called Accra and largest city in Ghana. Cities such as Kumasi, Tamale, Sekendi Takoradi, and Sunyani are also important cities in Ghana. About 3,000 to 5,000 African Americans live in Accra, Ghana's capital. Some of the African Americans are entrepreneurs or teachers in rural communities in the capital, and they claim that despite the challenges of living in Ghana, they feel free and protected and the country is safe for them. Most of these African Americans are returning to Africa for a variety of reasons that are only known to them. Some complain about racial discrimination, while others claim that educational qualities are underestimated because they work for little or no pay in America. We will talk about why so many African Americans are returning to the African continent, specifically to Ghana. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Ghana's Year of Return in 2019 is a Government of Ghana initiative to encourage African diasporans to return to Africa, namely Ghana, to stay and invest. President Nana Akufo-Addo publicly inaugurated it in September 2018 in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America as an initiative for Africans in the diaspora to join with Africans. The Year of Return concept is to bring in fresh skills and capital and place Ghana more firmly on the global map as a key destination spot. The year 2019 is significant because it marks the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in Jamestown, Virginia, in the United States of America. The celebration also honors the diaspora's achievements and sacrifices since that period. Since 1992, PANAFIST, Ghana's biannual Pan-African Historical Theater project, has brought African Americans and others from the African diaspora to Ghana and has been part of the country's Year of Return celebrations in 2019. The festival is held in Accra and Cape Coast, among other places. The festival's goal is to promote African unity, Pan-Africanism, and the growth of the continent. This festival includes, among other things, performances and work in the disciplines of theater, music, and poetry. Trips to major areas such as the slave stronghold castles, Kakem National Park, National Museum of Ghana, Mole National Park, among others. There is no language barrier for African Americans in Ghana as the official language is English, and the country has a transparent legal structure and economic environment, making it a safe and reliable investment location. Ghana is also the only country that provides people of African ancestry the legal right to stay in the country indefinitely through its right to abode law. The country has waived a number of bureaucratic hurdles and granted 100 African American citizenship based on their African ancestry alone. Ghana, formerly known as the Gold Coast, was a British colony on the west coast of Africa. On March 6, 1957, Ghana gained independence and became the first colony in Africa's sub-Saharan region to gain independence from European colonial control under the leadership of its first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The newly established nation's image as Africa's first independent republic, as well as Nkrumah's actions as president, were important factors in the migration of African Americans to Ghana. After Ghana's independence in the mid-1950s, a new age of African American immigration began. African Americans, particularly civil rights activists like W.E.B. Du Bois and Julian Bond, came to Ghana to help the country develop while avoiding prejudice in the United States. Because of Ghana's Cold War neutrality, some people relocated there. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah worked tirelessly to keep Ghana free of Western and Soviet influences, and black expatriates, particularly revolutionaries, saw this as an opportunity to vent their grievances without fear of retaliation in the United States. Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, allowed African Americans into Ghana and even brought American civil rights leaders into his inner circle as advisors and political allies, knowing that Ghana's success and the independence of every other country on the African continent would require global connections. Following Ghana's independence, African American perceptions of the continent shifted tremendously. This is because, for the first time in history, Africa outperformed America in terms of both factual actuality and symbolism. As a result, Ghana became the new promised land for African Americans. Ghana gained independence in 1957, bringing with it the aspirations and dreams of Africans. Ghana was a source of inspiration for African Americans, demonstrating that Africa was not the barbaric country that it was stereotyped to be. It made African Americans reconsider their views about post-colonial Africa and its potential. Ghana provided a safe haven for African Americans fleeing oppression in the United States, as well as the backlash they received for criticizing the racist American culture. African Americans believed they would be reunited with long-lost relations in their motherland, since they were surrounded by Africans. Some claim, however, that preconceived notions about Africa hampered African Americans' experiences in Ghana. The African American image of Africa has traditionally been no less twisted, according to Derek Katzum, but has been defined by romanticism, fetishism, and nostalgia. Involvement of African Americans in Ghanaian politics. African diasporan political exiles and Black American activists who traveled to Ghana to engage with Pan-Africanist and socialist ideology under the tutelage of Ghana's President Drive. Kwame Nkrumah were frequently dragged into Ghanaian politics, either indirectly or explicitly. For example, Maya Angelou formed relations with Ghanaian officials, and even Nkrumah himself, allowing them to wield political power. They utilized their voices to criticize and applaud Ghana's government, as well as to have an impact on how the country was administered. With the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, and Black people globally feeling like their lives were not getting any safer, African governments began to call people back. The Ghana government has encouraged African Americans to come back home to Africa as the continent is a place they can escape to. Ghana is committed to continuing to open its arms and invite all African Americans to come home and build a life in Ghana. The African American Association of Ghana is one of the organizations established to assist Ghana's Afro-Americans on the continent. These groups create a sense of belonging to African Americans. They've found a safe haven where they won't be forgotten. They live in a world where they have complete control over everything. Ghana is one of the best countries in West Africa in terms of economics, infrastructure, and social development. African Americans moving to Ghana.
Okay. Any comments? So as you can see, it already started. Matter of fact, it started way back in during this first president, Kuma in Ghana. It already started what this Lord host had already said. He was going to return us. And it already started. And now it escalated. Okay? So nobody have any comments?
Ten completed projects in Ghana that shook the continent. Spanning the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean to the south, sharing borders with the Ivory Coast in the west, Burkina Faso in the north, and Togo in the east, Ghana, officially known as the Republic of Ghana, is a country in Africa. Within the years, the country has struggled to grow from a level of absolute poverty to what it is now, though not fully developed. Ghana has managed to rise and attain a cetane developmental stage that other African countries have not been able to attain. The infrastructural foundation of Ghana has transitioned progressively over the past 20 years, facilitating the nation's economic and developmental growth. The government and business sector have placed a renewed emphasis on infrastructure projects such as real estate investment projects, road expansion, and rail building projects in the past year. The most forward-thinking architects in Ghana have set out to address one of society's most pressing issues, building a world that can adapt to a drastically different future. Ghana has a well-balanced range of projects that have broken ground, ranging from energy and power to healthcare. Be prepared to experience everything Africa Reloaded has in store for you as you travel with us to discover 10 completed projects in Ghana that shook the continent. Please subscribe to our channel. 10. Kumasi Water Supply Project. The Kumasi Water Supply Project was anticipated to cost 24 million euros in total. The project's scope of work included the installation of a 400 millimeter high-density polyethylene HDPE pipeline on the Kumasi Ring main, the supply and installation of a transformer at the NUS booster station, the fencing of Prempeh College's reservoir site, and the replacement of a 9-inch cast iron pipeline between Suwane Roundabout and Komfo Anakai Teaching Hospital. 9. Akawa J Interchange. In
Stop right now and let me ask you.
In Accra, Ghana, the Akawa J Interchange is a flyover. It was known as the Sankara Interchange until 2005. The interchange's construction began in September 1997 and ended in December 1999. It was the first interchange created in Ghana, and it was erected during the government of Jerry Rawlings. The interchange is on Liberation Road in Accra, between Ring Road Central and Independence Avenue, with links to the 37 Military Hospital and the police headquarters. 8. Accra Mall. The Accra Mall is a shopping mall in Accra, Ghana, on the Spintex Road, which runs parallel to the Tema motorway. On July 4, 2008, the mall was officially opened. Late Joseph Usu Akyaw started it. Atterbury Property Development, Sanlaw, and the Usu Akyaw family are the owners. Accra Mall has been in the forefront of a retail revolution since its inception in 2008. It has a cinema, pubs, restaurants, a dentist, and a medical center in addition to stores. Actis saw Accra Mall not merely as something Ghana wanted, but as something it needed, having already invested in the creation of destination malls in other African countries. When basic items must be supplied from London, there is a chance to make a profit while also improving the quality of life. 7. Tema Motorway Interchange. The Tema Motorway Interchange is a diverging diamond interchange that replaced the Tema roundabout on the Tema Motorway's east side. It connects the Tema Motorway, Aflao Road, Akosombo Road, and Tema Harbor Road with 4-lane trunk roads. Following an agreement struck by the governments of Ghana and Japan, development on the second phase of the Tema Motorway interchange project is set to begin next month. 6. The Signature Apartments. The seal of approval introduces a spectacular collection of premium apartments situated on twin towers with a penthouse on top. The bright development exudes refinement, leaving a lasting impression on the Accra skyline while offering amazing views of the city. The architectural orientation of the Signature is essentially a work of art, unlike any other in the world. The historic and cultural significance of Ghana's Adinkra symbol, M for Amadan, which denotes perseverance, strength, and sturdiness, inspired its unusual shape. The design combines African tradition with intricate architectural geometrics in a seamless manner. It features open-plan living areas, fully equipped kitchens, luxurious baths, and private gardens on each floor with views of Africa's coolest city. Micheletti Limited is responsible for the Signature's design. 5. Pokuase Interchange. The Pokuase intersection is a 4-level stack interchange in Accra, Ghana, located at Pokuase Junction. When completed, it will be the largest interchange in West Africa. The interchange was originally 3-tiered, but the Akufo-Addo administration changed it to 4 tiers on the suggestion of the constructor, making it the largest in West Africa. Construction began in 2018 and was officially opened by President Nana Akufo-Addo on July 9, 2021. It runs parallel to the Nsawam Road and connects it to the George Walker Bush Highway. 4. Kijisha Market. The Kumasi Central Market, also known as the Kijisha Market, is an open-air market in Kumasi, Ashanti's capital. Kumasi Central Market is located on the Ashanti Peninsula in the Ashanti Rainforest bioregion. Kumasi lies around 480 kilometers north of the equator and 100 kilometers north of the Gulf of Guinea. Because of its numerous beautiful varieties of flowers and plants, Kumasi is known as the Garden City, or heartbeat of Ashanti and the Ashantilan Peninsula. 3. Accra Car Factory. Volkswagen has constructed a vehicle assembly plant in Ghana, which is attempting to entice automakers and establish itself as a car-making powerhouse. The Accra plant will produce Tiguan, Terramont, Passat, Polo, and Amarok models with a capacity of 5,000 cars per year. Ghana has put in place policy measures aimed at transforming the country into a West African automobile manufacturing hub by offering incentives to automotive manufacturers and assemblers who are registered under the Ghana Automotive Development Program, GIA-DP. It has barred the importing of salvaged automobiles and some motor vehicles above the age of 10 years as part of this set of restrictions. 2. Kotoka Airport Terminal. Ghana Airports Company Limited, GIA-CL, the airport operator and management, began ground on its flagship project, Terminal 3, at Kotoka International Airport, KIA, in March 2016. Construction of a new terminal was finished in June 2018, and it opened to traffic 3 months later. By modernizing and upgrading Kotoka International Airport into a gateway for West Africa and a regional aviation center, the country's objective to enhance its key infrastructure is supported. It also helps the economy of the country by improving market connectivity and lowering business costs. 1. Tema Port Expansion Project. Phase 1. Meridian Port Services Limited successfully completed Phase 1 of the Tema Port Expansion Project on April 30, 2020, also known as Terminal 3 of Tema Port. MPS Terminal 3 was supposed to open on 2 berths on June 28, 2019, and the entire Phase 1
So let's look at that right quick. I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna read Isaiah 60 one more time. So this is register. Isaiah 60. Right? It says, we see what's happening over here with the ports and these ports and these shipping containers and all that, right? So it says in 60, arise, shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, his glory shall be seen upon thee, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see all that gather themselves together. They shall come unto thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall see and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea, ain't that what we're looking at, shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. Right? So forces of the Gentile is all this moving and shaking on the sea, all this transporting. We see it's being hemmed up. And we see what Ghana doing right here. Let's look at it again.
One construction was supposed to be finished on June 28, 2020, according to the terms of the concession. Both deadlines were met, and the project was completed ahead of time. The accomplishment of delivering this huge infrastructure ahead of a contractual deadline of 3.5 years was due to a mix of exceptional teamwork, solid project finance, and dedicated shareholders. These are some of the projects that,
Like I said before, we just now finding out that who we are, and coming into the light of these prophecies and all that. Well, Esau been known. He got all the records right there. He's looking at them. So we saw what happened in Oklahoma with Black Wall Street. It wasn't no different in that than in any other cases. We found out that all over America, they had Black Wall Streets all over America. When the Most High would start rising up over us, they was there to cut it off, right? So look at what's going on now. Okay, and you tell me. Hold on 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream. Ghana's economy has been crippled by the impact of the COVID pandemic, rampant inflation, the war in Ukraine, plus a depreciating currency. Now analysts are warning that the country is close to a crisis. Have a listen to Sami Jemfi. His organisation led protests in the capital, Accra, last month.
For the first time in the history of this Fourth Republic, the rate of inflation is hovering around 27, 28%. That is unprecedented. And that should tell you about the persistent and astronomical hikes in the prices of food, especially, and other basic commodities. So today, the ordinary Ghanaian is struggling to afford 3 square meals a day, not even 2 square meals a day, because we are suffering.
So Ghana's economic crisis is what we're looking at today. We have a panel of experts. Let's say hello to Yvonne and Mensa and Theo. Good to have all of you on board. Yvonne, please introduce yourself to our audience around the world. Hello, Yvonne. Tell everybody who you are and what you do. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Muhango, Africa economist at Renaissance Capital.
Good to have you. Mensa, welcome to the stream. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Thank you very much. My name is Mensa Thompson. I lead one of the most vibrant anti-corruption civil society organizations in Ghana, and I'm also a leading member for Arise Ghana, which is an amalgamation of a number of interest groups that have come together to express major concern about Ghana's current economic situation.
All right, very good. And finally, Theo, welcome to the stream. Please introduce yourself to our international audience. All right, so we don't hear Theo very carefully, but very, very well. But I will tell you that Theo is an economist and a political risk analyst. We will try and connect him back in just a moment. I want to take you to the market in Accra about a month ago. That's when Al Jazeera was out in Ghana reporting, just to get some grassroots economy and economic feedback from some people who know when the price of food has gone up and when it's gone down. Let's have a listen.
These days, things are so expensive. The prices are outrageous, and it's serious. It's serious. We are crying out loud to the government to do something about it.
I cannot buy, so I'm going because I'm having 8 cities, and she said 16 cities, and I cannot afford it. At first, it was 8 cities, and now it's 16 cities. So I don't know what to do about it.
Mensa, are you surprised to hear those opinions by ladies in the market? Like, we can't afford these prices. How would you explain to our international audience what's going on?
Absolutely not. I'm not surprised. The warning signs has been there for the past 2 years. It only became aggravated this past few weeks when now the people are beginning to realize that, hey, we are in austerity, and people are beginning to actually embrace the reality, which a lot of experts and analysts and economic watchers have been sounding for quite some time now. And we are here due to a number of issues which, from our estimation, have very little to do with the global economic climates, i.e. the Russian-Ukrainian war, which you alluded to.
Yeah.
As far back as 2020, analysts have been warning the government.
So Mensa, if you say that Ghana's issues are not connected to a couple of things that is impacting not just other African neighbors, but also the whole world. So Ukraine crisis right now, food has gone up and fuel has gone up around the whole world. Ghana's immune to that. That's not a problem for Ghana either.
It is to a very large extent.
All right.
But there are other neighboring countries who have also been hit by this same global crisis, but not at the extent or degree which Ghana has been affected. And Ghana, our performance in the sub-region when it comes to economic issues, we are more like the buffer for the region. And so a lot of countries look up to us. And we are of the firm belief that if there was prudent economic management in the past 2 years, the level of impact this global economic climate would have had on our larger economy would have been less severe than we are witnessing.
So Mensa, hold a tight one moment. I just want to bring back in Theo here. So Theo, what Mensa is saying that it's not these outside circumstances like COVID and Ukraine and the Russia conflict. It's not that's Ghana's essential problem. It's bad management, bad government. Theo?
Absolutely, because there are actually two factors here. There's the external shocks, which Sami has actually discussed or referenced, but internally there are also domestic factors that need to be taken into account here. So even before Russia, Ukraine, and also with COVID, the government had literally been on a debt bench with a lot of borrowing, which was adding on to the public debt, and the warning signs somewhat were there. So to an extent, it's actually a mixture of two things. Mm-hmm. What is happening?
All right. So once again, our challenge is not just the economy in Ghana, but also our challenge is actually keying
IMF. And I kind of like to slightly disagree with Yvonne on the root causes. So for sure, Russia, Ukraine did play a part, and COVID did play a part. But if you actually look at the trajectory and the numbers, including the assessment that had been done by others like the World Bank, etc., we were already at risk of high debt distress for the country's external debt, but also the overall debt levels. And this was even before Russia, Ukraine, and before the pandemic. So in a sense, it's actually two core factors: the external factors, which we've described, but importantly, it being compounded by the weak governance and across the board fiscal indiscipline of the government. That's what has led
All right,
us
so let me
to
show
where
you.
we are
Let me tell
now.
you on YouTube. This is how Christy Lemon describes how you describe quite. I'm just going to say politely. Christy says, Akufo-Addo is a failure and a bad leader. That is coming from our grassroots comments on YouTube. Guess I'm going to get you to engage with some of the commentary that we're hearing, but very quickly so we can get in as much as possible. So this one is for you, Mensa. Why IMF? Aren't there any other options? Mensa, quick response in 30 seconds.
Well, there are a number of options, but we believe that the IMF would be a short-term remedy to putting us back on some fiscal recovery of the economy. But the huge chunk of the long-term recovery, which cannot be given by the IMF. The IMF cannot fight corruption for us. The IMF cannot help us to be food sufficient. There are certain decisions that would have to be taken at the governance level, at the leadership level, and it takes a lot of political will to do that.
All right, Yvonne, I'm going to put this one to you. This one from Tiffany. Tiffany, thank you for watching. Appreciate.
Okay, so we see just like in the past, business as usual again. They're trying to usurp Israel as a nation from the prophecies that Most High have on us. So if anybody know anything about the IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, right? So it's tied to banking. It's tied to these Illuminati Edomites, these Illuminati bankers, these world bankers. So if you want to get the significance of that and why I'm talking about it, it's just like an awakened Israelite that's all the way awakened, that's know who their God is, people that's on Prophets of Awakening, and then all of a sudden going back to the New Testament. That's what Ghana doing. They caught them a pickle, but they going to the IMF to get them out of it. That's how crazy that is. They're the ones behind it. Like I said last night, the three major countries in the whole world is jammed up just like Ghana is. It's not coincidence. These people pros at doing that. You know, Bernie Madoff and George Soros and all them. Those are the people, you know, they pros at bringing chaos, bankrupting countries and bringing them down. They do that with their eyes closed. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any comments? Okay. So we're gonna go into Leviticus. I was reading out Leviticus on the Sabbath day last week ago, a couple weeks ago. I was reading on the Sabbath day, so I'm gonna pick up with Leviticus at chapter 4. I'll read a couple chapters. I'm in chapter 4, Leviticus. And just feast our eyes on some of these laws. It says this chapter 4 of Leviticus is the law of sin offering. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not be done, and shall be against any of them, if the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin which ye have seen, a young bullock without blemish, unto the Lord for a sin offering. And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, kill the bullock before the Lord. And this priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock blood and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, sprinkle it sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. So let's look at that, right? So we share. Remember now that when they concocted JC, now all of a sudden his blood is the blood is the one that's bringing about all the cause and effect. So chapter 4 of Leviticus, verse 4. This is what the priest got to do. He shall bring the bullocks unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. See that? Before the Lord. The Lord is there, right? With us. It says, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, kill the bullock before the Lord. See there, right? 5. And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock's blood, bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. So we see right here what blood they operating with. And then not only that, we see that verse 6, the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord, because the veil, before the veil of the sanctuary. So why 7 times? I'm quite sure anybody that's been on Prophet's Awakening over time period know why he's doing it 7 times. So we're gonna go to Zechariah right quick, and we'll see why it's 7 times. In Zechariah right quick. It says chapter 4. It says, starting at verse 8, chapter 4 of Zechariah, verse 8. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house, his hands shall also finish it, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts have sent me unto you. Here we go, verse 10. For who have despised the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and see the plummet in the hands of Zerubbabel with those 7. What 7 is that? That's the 7 that Enoch told us about. In the very beginning, the Most High formed 7 angels from himself, and he's a consuming fire. So he formed the 7 angels from himself. They are the eyes of the Lord. Verse chapter 10 says, which run to and fro. It says, they are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro over the whole earth. So these are the self-ministering spirits, archangels that doing the Most High bidding. So I just read well in verse 4 of Leviticus, it says, he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, and he shall lay his hand upon the bullock and kill the bullock before the Lord. So they're there. They're all there, right? And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock blood and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it upon, sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the tabernacle of the sanctuary. It's because there's 7 of them there, right? Let's look at Ezekiel chapter 7. So I can't do this and go to these scriptures if they ain't there, and it's not corresponding with what's being said. So I'm in Ezekiel, right? Okay. Ezekiel chapter 9. Okay. 1 minute. Ezekiel chapter 9. I'm starting at verse 1. He cried also in mine ear with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city. See that? So whoever this is, right, they got charge over Jerusalem, the charge over the temple. All the affairs of Jerusalem is going through the temple. right? So it says, over the city, and draw near, everyone with his strong weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man with a slaughter weapon in his hand, and one man among them clothed in linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. They went in and stood beside the brazen altar. So where's the brazen altar at? Slap dab square in the middle of the temple. That's where we at right here in Leviticus, where he's sprinkling the blood at. These 7 angels in there with a brazen altar. They in the temple. They ain't in outer space nowhere. They in the temple. These 7 angels. Yeah, the Lord of hosts and these other 6. So that's why he's sprinkling the blood 7 times. Just like, well, let's go there. I don't want to say nothing, and then I'm not able to go there. So just like in Genesis 24, let's look at it. Okay, not Genesis 24. Let's see on it. Okay. Jesus. Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, let me get it right quick. I don't want to say nothing and don't go to it. So let me get it. Okay. Okay, this is in chapter 21. At Abraham and Amalek. It says, and it came to pass that at the time that Amalek and Pascal, chief captain of the host, spake unto Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. So we're going to look at that. He says, God is with us. So he can't be with you when you understand outer space. Outer space is light years away from us. So he can't be with Abraham if he in outer space or he in heaven or heavens of heaven, light years away from us. So when you write divided, you know this Lord and God are 2 different beings. And the Lord of hosts is the one that's with Abraham, with him on the earth. That's where he dwells at. So that's what he means right here when Amalek said, God is with thee in all that thou do. Like I said, you can't be with him when you understand how everything operates in outer space, how long it takes when you're traveling outer space. So 23, now therefore swear unto me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherewith thou sojourn. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Amalek because of the wells of the water which Amalek's servants had violently taken away. And Amalek said, I won't not who have done this thing, neither did thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it until the day. And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Amalek, and both of them made a covenant, right? So this is the sign of the covenant. And Abraham set 7 huge lambs of the flock by themselves. And Amalek said unto Abraham, what meanest thou these 7 huge lambs which thou hast set by themselves? So we know why. Same reason why he sprinkled sprinkled the blood 7 times in the temple because of these 7 angels, right? So anyway, let's get back over here to Leviticus. I'm in chapter 4, verse 5. And the priest that is anointed shall take the bullock's blood and sprinkle it into the tabernacle of the congregation, and the priest shall dip his fingers in the blood, sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar of the sweet incense before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation. So let's look at that. right here. I don't even have to break it down. He says 7. The priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar of the sweet incense before the Lord, right? Before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation. Come on. And shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offerings, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take off from it all the fat of the bullock for the sin offering, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the cord above the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take away. So let's look at that, right? I'm going to show you how ignorant these folks is. You know, it's hammer time. So, okay, we know the Lord of hosts is the same one when Adam and Eve had sinned. He came in the garden, and because Adam and Eve had sinned, he had to cleanse them. So he made a sacrifice. Everything they're doing right here in the temple, it was done in the garden when he had to clean up Adam and Eve. So he made a sacrifice, and everything he's doing right here, he had to do it then. It's a process. So he did that, and then he took the skin and covered them up, because the sin what they had done was sexual. She had encountered the serpent, defiled herself, and Adam turned around and had intercourse with her and defiled himself. So he had to clean them up. So he sacrificed this lamb. He did the same thing right here. So it's certain parts of the animal that belong within him and unto the Lord, and the other part they cooking it, barbecuing it, and then they eat it. So this is the process right here. So they tell you that he had a lamb waiting on from the foundation of the earth to be sacrificed. So if that's the case, the Roman soldier that had the spear that stuck him in the side, he should have been busy getting the fat and the cull and all. He should have been busy getting that instead of sticking him in the damn side. He should have been doing this right here. Okay? Let that ferment. So anyway, verse 9 says, the 2 kidneys and which is by the flank, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, he shall take away. And as it was taken off from the bullock, the sacrifice of the peace offering, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar of the burnt offering. This is what he should have been busy doing, instead of sticking him in the side and giving them a rag with vinegar on it. So you can fumble with it if you want. So 11, and the skin of the bullock and all his skin with his head and with his legs and with his inwards and his dung. Even the whole bullock shall he carry forth without the camp unto the clean place where the ashes are poured out, and burn him on the wood with the fire where the ashes are poured out, shall he burn. It says, laws made for the congregation. And if the whole congregation of Israel sin through ignorance, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning these things which should not be done, and are guilty, when the sin which they have sinned against it is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for sin offering, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation, and the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before the Lord, and the bullock shall be killed before the Lord, and the priest that is anointed shall bring the bullock blood to the tabernacle of the congregation, and the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, even before the veil. And he shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar, which is before the Lord, that is the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour out the blood at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offerings, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take all his fat. See that? Every time. It's the process, right? So like I said before, the centurion or the Roman soldier, whoever that was, he should have been busy doing this right here, right? So it says 19, and he shall take all his fat from him and burn it upon the altar, and he shall do with the bullock as he did with the bullock for a sin offering. So shall he do with this, and the priest shall make an atonement for them, and he shall be forgiven them. And he shall carry forth the bullock without the camp, and burn him as he burned the first bullock. It is the sin offering of the congregation. And when a ruler have sinned and done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord his God concerning this thing which should not be done, and is guilty. Or if he sinned wherewith he has sinned, come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of the goat, kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before the Lord. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall take it of the blood of the offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and he shall pour out his blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offerings, and he shall burn all his fat. See, they're doing the same thing over again. It's repetitions. So, like I said, the Roman centurion, he off track. Something wrong. So 26, he shall burn all his fat upon the altar as the fat of the sacrifice of the peace offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. And if at any one of these common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning this thing which he ought not to do, be guilty. Or if his sin which he has sinned come to his knowledge, then he shall bring in the offering, a kid of the goats, a female without blemish, for sin which he has sinned, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of his sin offering, and the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering, and the priest shall take of the blood therein with his finger, put it upon the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and he shall pour out the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar, and he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat of it is taken away from the sacrifice of the peace offering, and the priest shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor to the Lord. And the priest shall make an atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. And he, if he bring a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without blemish, and he shall lay his hands upon the head of the sin offering, and lay it for a sin offering in a place where they kill the burnt offering, right? And the priest shall take the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and he shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar, and he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the sacrifice of the peace offering, and the priest shall burn them upon the altar according to all the offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the priest shall make an atonement for the sin that he hath committed, and he shall be forgiven him. Okay. Any comments? That was Leviticus chapter 4. Okay, so let's look at this right here. It says, Shalom, could you do a lesson on Elijah and Elisha? Yeah, I can do that. Matter of fact, I incorporate that in the class for Tuesday. Okay. Yeah, so we see right here, over and over again, it's a process. When you if it's got a lamb, or male or female, a goat, a bullock, or whatever, there's a process on how to sacrifice it. So if he had a lamb that was going to be slain from the foundation of the earth, this is what happened right here. We don't see nowhere in the New Testament where no priest and nobody dipped their finger in the blood. It's sprinkled on the congregation. You don't see where they took the fat out and the coal and all that and burn it on the altar. We don't see none of that. So like I said before, what you come to find out is just like with these bankers, they just talking. We ignorant enough to listen to it and trying to write and divide it when all they doing is talking. It's garbage. That's what the Israelites have to come to the realization do. You gotta give them the hand and turn your back on them. Because as long as you're sitting there dealing with that ideology, you're looking like Skip Butler. And you ain't, they ain't just talking loud and ain't saying shit. And we sitting there trying to rightly divide it. You know? So like I said before, I'm at a wit's end with that. Most High told us in Zechariah that, you know, the Israelites, especially the Levites and the priests and all them, was men wonder that. So you come and listen to these clowns and being humiliated. And you understand what has happened. You got to cast that around, you got to cast that behind you. Okay. So with that being said, I was gonna see if anybody have anything before we close out. Yeah, let me give you this right quick. This is just a little video. You don't have to deal with none of this stuff. You can just pack up and leave. You can pack up and leave. You ain't got to deal with it no more. You can pack up and leave. It's that simple. So let me play this. Okay, so at the beginning of this class, we saw where all the cities in America is rat folks infested, and got homeless people all over the place, and LGBT crew and all them all over the place. So what you just saw is you don't see none of that. So that was Kigali. It's supposedly it's equivalent to Dubai, but that's a city in Rwanda in Africa. So you ain't got to deal with that no more. You ain't got to keep dealing with that. So the thing is, Adam sinned in the garden, and the Lord of hosts drove him out. He didn't want to go, but he drove him out. Jacob, Abraham, and all them went to Egypt. They ended up getting in bondage. The Egyptians oppressed them. When the time came for them to leave, a lot of them didn't want to leave. He drove them out. So you can get your visa and make your plans, and you can go on your own, or you can get drove out. One way or the other, you got to leave here. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, anybody got any comments or anything before we leave, before we go? Anybody got anything they want to say?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So like I was saying before, through these videos and through these conversations, we see that it ain't gonna get no better. It's gonna get worse. And so you just got to prepare yourself for it. They got these projections for. We see it already coming into effect about the winter, the fall. What's gonna happen? And like I said before, that's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. So if you see anything on Prophets of Awakening or Facebook that you like and you want to, get involved or participate, you see my information across the bottom. If it ain't nothing but a quarter or a dime, it's going to help with what's going on. Like I said, if you go to Facebook, you can see the progress. Okay? And you go to our channel, subscribe. That's going to help. Get my subscribers up. So with that being said, I want to hit this right here. I want to say shalom, and I enjoyed everybody on the Shabbat day, and I'll see y'all at 6 o'clock to close out the Shabbat. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.